Hi and welcome back for another video. In this video I've been requested quite a lot of times to do the dimensions of the units. The weather at the moment is absolutely horrendous, so I can't do some of the videos I wanted to do, so I thought this one's a good one to do. It's inside the van. All we've got to do, grab our tape measures and let's see how big everything is. Okay, so for the first measurement I thought we'd measure the kitchen unit because this is the biggest piece, and I'm sure this is the one that most people want to do. How deep is it now? This was actually determined by obviously the size of the fridge. I did actually make it so it was a really nice tight fit around the fridge, so that is kind of like sets the depth of the unit. And I went how the width of it going into the van deep that way. I was just kind of guessing and just thinking I don't want to go too far. I wanted to make sure that the fridge door opened so it would actually clear this little stool thing here, and it does clear it quite nicely. It's easy to load up from that angle. So these are the kind of the considerations I was thinking of when I was making this. I'm not sure if I'd made it again. I don't think I'd change any of the dimensions apart from maybe the height, which I'll get onto maybe in another video, but for now it is a pretty damn good unit. So let's just measure firstly across. Now these are the outside measurements, so you got to remember that. The wood I used on the unit is actually a 12mm plywood, so this is the measurements from the two sides. I've obviously got a bit of edging on here, so that might sort of skew it a little bit, but basically it's about 42 centimeters, probably 41.8, and this way it looks like we're about 61.3. So 61.3 for the depth there, or the width, depends which way we look at it. For the tabletop, so for the tabletop on here, ended up with a 46.6. Very precise, 46.6. Looks like it's 74 centimeters. Yeah, so it's quite a good little size here. Originally I did actually make, for the end there, I've actually got a little stackable unit up there, whether I'll show you that in a cutaway in a second. Yeah, it's like almost like a little rack thing, which matches all the blue and everything, but I felt that the depth was too deep for me to actually put the cooker on, so I stopped using that. Got a little video coming up for that little thing. I'll not talk about that just yet. So as you can see, I've actually gone over this the rail that the seat slides on. So this is the plastic cover, so inside there is the actual metal rail. So I've actually done a little cutaway, so I don't have to take the rails out. But it's quite important if you want us to put it back to a normal van. I thought just keep them in there. Plus I don't know if I'll change this again in the future, so it's always good to kind of keep things original if you can. Down here there is the gap, which at the moment there's kind of the gap sits at what looks like about 7.5 centimeters there. So it's quite nice. You can slide in chairs, or as you've seen the table. What shall we measure next? I think maybe this little seat. I'll measure this seat, but I'll tell you, I've got plans to change this little seat. I might make it a bit bigger because it's been so brilliant. As you can see here, like the lip of this thing, I mean this is a bit of I came to the end of the project and I kind of just had a thought about making this little seat, and as you can see it's a completely different colour. It's actually the original grey cabinets that I used, so I want to make this kind of the same, so this is like a matching piece, but as you can see there's quite a big overhang, so there's quite a good bit of a gap here I can make up. I'm thinking of making it so it comes up to here, because the fridge, you know, it does open pretty successfully, so I'm imagining it's going to be absolutely fine to load it, even if it's at that slight angle. As you can see there, you know, you kind of like, I could chop the edge off there, but I think making a bigger footstool will just give me that extra bit of storage, so that could be a thing that gets remade actually, but I'll measure it for now and then you can sort of see what that's like. Okay, so the inside, so across, again this is edge to edge, so this is 31.7. So the depth of it is from that edge to there, looks like it's 20, well, nearly 29, but yeah, 28 point, sort of like 28 or something like that, 28.8 centimetres. So the overall top that I've got here, you can't see, but yes, overall top here is, looks like it's 32.5-ish, 32.4, something like that. And across this way, I have got 41.6. So that seems like it fills up the space enough, and the cushion obviously pops on there very nicely. It's really comfortable, so that's pretty much that. I think the top is going to sort of like be the gauge of how big I make the bottom bit if I do remake it. I'm hoping to sort of come, like, say, over here, and I'll use these 2 points as an anchor point as well, so well, that'll be pretty good. Okay, so the next thing to measure is this drawer. So I've got to empty it first. So let's take everything out. Right, and this comes out like this. Right, so this is the drawer. Now, I'll show you. You're probably thinking these cutouts actually make sense when you actually see the back of the unit, because they have to clear a certain bit of like metalwork at the back, so it makes sense when you see the back. Inside, let me just give you a bit of a close-up. Now this is something I might, again, I'm probably going to rebuild some of these bits, because these were kind of almost prototypes, these. But as you'll see, these little lumps inside. Now the reason for those is because that's where the wheels are. So these are, I took them off an old drawer that was like an underbed drawer. So we kind of like reset these in, because otherwise these will stick out really quite far. I'm going to find a different system to do it next time, I think, but these have been pretty good. So whether they're called like furniture wheels or drawer wheels, I'm not exactly sure. I've never looked for them online, but you might be able to get a lower profile version of these. But I inset them onto these blocks of wood, so it just makes it a bit more, a bit lower down. So the actual width of the drawer. Now this is quite an important measurement, because this obviously makes it fit in between the seats. So I've got it at 89, what looks like 89.8. So anywhere sort of like there or lower is absolutely fine. 89.8. Depth of the drawer, looks like I've got it at 39.8. So that one's 39.8. Now the depth, so I'll do it at the side here. Now the sides have to be slightly, I've made them slightly lower, because there's a bar that runs underneath the chair, so it has to kind of like clear that under there. So the actual depth of the unit here on the inside looks about 17 centimetres. But obviously the front panel is slightly bigger, and that's nearly 19, so it looks like 18.9 centimetres. I ended up drilling a little hole each side in here for the locks to lock it in. Now, I tried so many different ways to make this lock in. Yeah, so you have to sort of like flick it in there, which is quite a good thing, because obviously the back piece does then hit that bar to prevent it from flying forward too far, that is. It's pretty good action. I've made quite a big handle. It used to be a high handle, so I used to have the lock. I actually cut it so it was very close to this handle here, which is the bit that actually moves the seat. It's actually the top bit that moves, and this bit stays stationary. So I used to have a little lock on there, but it's such a small lock that it kept falling out. So I made it bigger, a nice big grab handle, made it a lot easier. And then I just used these nice little furniture locks. I can't say it's the best method, because these plastic things do come off, but it's never actually ripped them off ever. Yep, so that's the dimensions on the drawer there. Hopefully it's kind of giving you an idea of how it's put together. So one thing to note about the drawer is it does actually move because it's locked into the actual the legs of the seat. It will actually move when you sort of push it forward. So it's actually quite nice that it moves with the seat. But let's get on to the back box. Okay, so we're in the back of the van. So I'm going to take these two pads out. So as you can see, It's not quite finished on the back. I ran out of the blue stuff. I ran out of blue vinyl, and it's something I'll buy some more of it so I can actually finish all this bit off to a bit of a higher standard. But it's functional, and that's actually all that matters, to be quite honest with you. It doesn't really matter what things look like, I'll be honest with you. Never bothers me, because the inside is not finished as well. I was gonna put some of that felt stuff on the inside, so it's all nice and fluffy. But then obviously you spill things in there, and fluffy carpet stuff's not nice for cleaning. So as you can see, I shaped everything to fit the ergonomics of the van. It sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? Like what I'm doing, but that's not true. So obviously the positioning of this. So again, this is kind of something you have to sort of bear in mind. The actual positioning of that box, it was quite critical to the seat, because the seat only has so many locking points. Obviously these feet will meet up with near there, and I kind of use that as a basis, and then when I fold the chair down, that's what I set this the gap of this, so the end of the chair kind of meets here perfectly. So let's have a quick look at these. So the entire width of this, yep, it's 106 centimetres. So 106 for the entire width. The depth of this, now that is 46, so 46 centimetres. And the depth of this unit looks like it's bang on 30, so 30 centimetres tall. And then I have these pads which make up obviously the rest of the thickness, and these are, yeah, so I think there's a double layer of memory foam which is about 2 inches thick, so about 4 inches that. It is tight up to the wheel arches, which is kind of what you want, and then there's a little space here and on the other side for just some extra storage. I'm actually going to put some extra bits on this side. Obviously there is a whole back here that could just be used for maybe tools, I'm thinking. That's a good look, make little storage pouches for that. So the last measurement will be for the bed. As you can see, it is, as you know, it's a full width bed. This is as wide as you'll ever get a bed in a Bongo. So I mean, this is, really from edge to edge is 136 centimetres. So it's about 4'6" across. And that's plenty of width. That's about the size, or it is exactly the size of a small double bed, small double mattress, because I had a small double mattress in here only the other day, and it fitted exactly across. So more than enough room width-wise, I think. For the length, on this side, it's kind of like a bit of a bed of two sides, this one. So this side is going to be shorter, because obviously you've got the kitchen unit in the way at the end, but it does make up a bed that is about 170 centimetres on this side. So that's about 5'7". So on this side of the bed, this is where you get to extend it if you're a bit taller. I mean, I fit on here pretty well. You know, my legs do hang off the end of the bed, but I just don't mind it, to be honest with you. It doesn't bother me. I just curl up my legs a little bit. Because you've got the width, it's a lot better to stretch yourself out a bit, so it's actually okay for me. What you can do is you could build a little custom platform here. I've actually used one of the little footstools that I've got and just kind of rested my feet on that, where your sleeping bag comes to about here. So I'll just give you a quick measurement here. So up to, as you can see here, that's a 6 foot. So you only need a small platform, a tiny little thing. You still have a little bit of room to put your feet on, put your shoes on in the footwell. So you could actually extend the bed to 6 foot, no problem at all. And that's pretty much the size of a standard bed anyway, but certainly bigger than a rock and roll bed. Rock and roll bed comes to about there, which is 180, 182. So it's about that length only on this side, obviously, but I think that's the compromise. I'm willing to make it because it gives you the kitchen unit still, and I think that's fine. Like I say, obviously you could go all the way into here and make that bed. If you wanted to make a platform that filled the entire footwell bit, which would be a very simple design, it'd be really easy to do, you'd have nearly an 8 foot bed. So I mean, that's huge. So that's more than you'll ever need. You could just connect these two platforms together. You could go right over onto the footstool, and that would be absolutely massive. That's all the measurements I can think of for now. I've got a load of videos coming up. I've got a new little tool that I've ordered that I'm hoping is going to arrive in the next sort of day or two. So that's going to enable me to make even more things for the van. So stay tuned because I've got quite a few things coming up. Yes, I hope I don't know if you can enjoy people measuring stuff. I don't know if you have, but hopefully it's been useful. It's kind of informative, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. See ya.